Alright, here's another video on factoring, and we are going to factor x squared plus 2x minus 15. And remember what factoring means. It means take this whole entire thing, we call it a sum because it's a bunch of things being added together, and turn it into two quantities being multiplied, which we call a product. So, here's what we're going to do. To figure out what goes in these parentheses, we are going to solve this using the rectangle diamond method. And basically what we do is we draw a rectangle and split it into 4 parts. And these 4 squares are going to be filled in with the information given. We have an x squared and a minus 15 that are going to go across from each other. These two x's have to split up between these boxes. So you could put 2 x's here and 0 here. You could put 1 x in each box. You have options, basically. So to figure this out, we use a diamond, which looks like a big X. And basically what we do is we take the 2x that's circled, we're going to split that up, we'll put that in the bottom of our diamond, and we multiply these corners. Negative 15 times x squared is negative 15x squared. And we want to find two numbers, they're both going to get an x, that multiply to negative 15 but add themselves to 2. So if you need help with this, think on the side here, all the things that multiply to 15. We have 1 times 15, 3 times 5. That's basically it. We could reverse these. We could say 15 times 1 and 5 times 3. But because we want a negative 15, we could do negative 1 times 15, negative 3 times 5, negative 15 times 1, or negative 5 times 3. And those are really, that's it for options. So pick the one that's going to give you 2x. So let's see here. 2 could come from this. 5 and a minus 3. If I use a 5 and a minus 3, 5 minus 3 is 2. Okay, so those are our numbers. So 5x and negative 3x go in these corners. Doesn't really matter what order you put them in. So you can put the 5x up here if you want, or you can put it in the bottom. I'll put the negative 3x in the bottom. Doesn't matter. And we'll go around the outside of this square to figure out the dimensions. Now, I know x times x gives me x squared, so that's an easy one to do first. Copy the x's across to the opposite sides once you decide where to put them. What are you going to times an x by to get negative 3x? Well, negative 3. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Then if I copy the negative 3 over to this side, what do you times a negative 3 by to get 15? 5. 5 times negative 3. Copy the 5 up, make sure it works. 5 times x is 5x. Yep, that works. So these two dimensions, this length and width of this rectangle, are going to be our solutions. It means that our factored answer is x minus 3 and x plus 5. And we got our answer. Now, some people want to be different, and that is totally fine. They want to put their answer backwards or in a different order. And some people might say, hey, is it okay if I make my parentheses and I put the x plus 5 in first and then the x minus 3? And that's fine. You can go in opposite order. It's the same thing. So it doesn't matter. Both these answers would be considered right and it would look good. So now you try one and do a little bit of practice here down below. Let's factor x squared. And we're going to do x squared plus 7x plus 12. So pause the video and try it by yourself first. See if you got this down. Okay, so here's what you're doing. We're turning this into double parentheses, multiplying a product. And to figure out the parentheses, we're going to use a rectangle to do the work. And we're actually going to do a rectangle diamond. So it looks like this for our setup. And we fill the rectangle in with our facts. We have an x squared, and we have a 12. And the 7x in the middle is going to split between these two boxes. So 7x goes in the bottom. And what I'm going to do is multiply the corner of this rectangle. 12 times x squared is 12x squared. So I'm looking for things that'll both have an x, that multiply to 12 and add to 7. So I'm thinking of all the things that multiply to 12, like 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. And the one that catches my eye is the 3 times 4, because 3 plus 4 is 7. So it looks like a good answer. So 3x and 4x go in these corners. Doesn't matter where. I'm going to put 3x in the bottom, 4x in the top. You can go vice versa if you want. And I'll go around the outside edges. What multiplies to get x squared? X times x. So copy the x's over. What multiplies to get 3x? 3 times x. So copy the 3 over. And what do you times 3 by to get 12? 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And if you carry the 4 to the top, you check 4x, it works. It does. Here's our answers, x plus 3 and x plus 4. So that's what goes in our parentheses, x plus 3 and x plus 4.